Hello and welcome. You are listening to Transmissions from Hell. Are we ever going to use the other name?
I don't know, but you better figure that out fast.
Okay. You're hearing the voice of Brian. And you're also hearing the voice of...
Megan.
Yeah, after mine? I don't know. This is Transmissions from Hell. Yeah, sure, screw it. We're going to use the other name. It's also Deep South Transmissions. We're not really sure which one we're going to go with, but it's going to be one of those two. I assure you. This is a podcast about everything and anything. No real themes here. We're going to get an intro. Trust me, there's going to be some fluidity, if that's even a word to this. There's going to be some structure. We haven't quite found that yet. This is episode 2, part 2 of a kind of multi-part session of our first encounter with this platform here. The first episode we were talking about a weekend of haunted house extravaganzas. So this is not always going to be about this. For all we know, later down the road, we're going to talk about something different, whether it's music or movies or stories, anything. It doesn't matter. There's no holds barred here. We could talk about anything, be it alcoholic beverages, be it fast food restaurants. It doesn't matter. If anyone happens to listen to this and someone wants to hear us talk about anything at all, let us know what that is. It could be Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon for all I care. I have a little bit of knowledge about Pokemon. Megan, you know Pokemon.
I know.
How many Pokemon are there?
I don't know how many.
Yep. So that would be a great conversation. We should do that in the future.
Oh yeah, let me talk about all of them.
All 25 million of them. Anyway, this is part 2 of the haunted house extravaganza. The first episode, for the first time we've ever done this, went about an hour and a half, and we talked about the Terror Manor and Hexed haunted attractions, which we went to on Friday, October 1st. So the second night, to conclude this weekend of haunted houses, we went to 3 in the same night. In this exact order, we went to the entire trifecta of terror, which is billed as Terror Manor in Roanoke, Virginia, St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia, and what was the other one? Helheim Haunted Attraction in Wytheville, Virginia.
Correct.
This podcast is based out of southwestern Virginia, and all of these locations are roughly around the same area. I'm not sure if we mentioned this in the first episode, but we did travel 2 hours and 6 minutes. The way that we did this, we did Helheim first. That was the furthest away from our location. And then we did St. Albans, which was 35 minutes away, going back towards where we came from. And then if we had time, we were going to hit Terror Manor one more time, because we already did that the night before.
Yep.
And that would have completed the as they bill it, the trifecta of terror. So, we kind of rated Terror Manor in the first episode. We rated Hexed, which is not part of the trifecta, but it is still a haunt that is around this area that we wanted to check out. Talked in great capacity about Terror Manor for the first episode. We'll touch back on them. We're not going to leave them out of this. But maybe we'll focus on the other two a little bit more, since we did talk in great length about Terror Manor. We'll start with which one we went to first, Helheim. This was in Wytheville, Virginia. Their parking is free.
Indeed.
Parking is free. Super cool. Really
quick to get to as well.
Really easily accessible. It is literally like, if you're familiar with this area, you get on 81... and you just take it until you get off of exit 77, and you make a left and a right, and boom, you are right there. Like, it is just right off the highway. So really easily accessible. Kind of a drive, over 2-hour drive, but from our location anyway. But we made it. We got there as soon as parking opened, because the goal was to make it to all 3 events in the same night. So, the night before, we went to Terror Manor. They gave us a punch card, as we mentioned. in the first episode. If you go to all 3 events and get your card punched, not only do you get a discount at the other 2 locations that you take the punch card to, but you get a free t-shirt if you complete all 3.
Correct.
So that was our goal. We were going to complete the trifecta, experience 2 brand new haunts that we've never seen. Maybe not brand new to the world, but like brand new to us.
Yes, correct.
And get a nice free t-shirt. Hopefully see some really cool stuff and have a really good time. Great experience. And that's where we were. So the idea was to go to the one that was furthest away first, hit the one in the middle. On our way back home, hopefully hit Terror Manor, because we already know that place is great, and close it off with a great night. All right, so Helheim Haunted Attraction, right off the highway. We got there as soon as they open, or as soon as their parking opened. 7 o'clock on the dot. We were not technically the first in line. There was another group that got there before us. They bought their tickets, and they went to the front of the line, and they walked out of the line, I guess because they said they didn't want to be the very first group.
Yep.
Maybe they knew something that we didn't, because we'll get to that. But we were the very first group. The tickets were $18 with the discount, $2 discount because of the Trifecta of Terror punch card. Normally $20. I don't believe that they offer an extreme haunt. Do you know?
I do not think so. I'll look it up. Just give me 1 second.
You'll ask, do you have contacts? Are you going to be like, yo, Helheim, like Helheim the person?
They wouldn't answer me because they don't give a shit.
You don't think, wow.
But,
well, I think we know what your opinion is. Man.
So, anywho, I will look that up, but
Okay.
I'm telling you, I don't think so.
All right. So, we buy our ticket, $18, $2 discount. There is a queue line. It's kind of like just regular rope. And there's a line that's in front of this shack. And it says, stand behind this line. All right. So because how early we were there was only 2 groups. It was myself and Megan, and then a group of 2, like, I don't know, like a younger girl, I don't know, probably like late teens, early 20s. That's not really relevant. And like perhaps her mom or someone, I don't really know. Who cares? It was a group of 2 girls. Another group showed up while we were waiting in line. It was a couple. Again, age doesn't really matter, but I guess it kind of does matter. Like, it's not our business how old they are, and I don't care how old they are, but I guess for the sake of haunted attractions, in some instances, like, younger people are more afraid. Not always, but like, younger people are not really recommended, which brings me to the point that there are 2 signs. This was kind of confusing, but I didn't think too much of it. There were 2 signs on the ticket booth of Helheim's counter. And it says, if you are under 14, you must be accompanied by an adult. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. But it says, if you are under 14, you must be accompanied by an adult. And then there was another sign that was to the right of it that says, we do not recommend anyone under the age of 18 to come into this event. We do not recommend anyone to come to this event, which was a cool touch. Some places do that to be like, this is so scary that we don't even recommend you do this at all, right? It's not to drive you away, it's to set the tone, which I get. But it was kind of confusing because firstly, you don't, like, if you're under 14, you have to be here with a parent, but we don't want you to be under 18. It's not a requirement, it's just kind of like a request. So why do they not want anyone to be under 18?
Well, I would assume that it's because it's vulgar, or could possibly be vulgar or offensive.
Could be.
And not be suitable for children.
Under 18. Because
Yep.
There was some stuff in this place that was just like, all right, maybe kids shouldn't see that, but if you turn on a TV, I'm sure they've seen far worse. Yeah. Anyway, so we are the first in line, even though we were not the first to get there. We sit there. It's still bright outside. The doors open at 7:30. They did open a little later than 7:30. I guess they were just waiting for it to get dark because it wasn't, like, they weren't going to start letting people walk through if it was still daylight out. So right off the bat, we were curious if this was going to be good. We never really heard anything. Admittedly, we did not do our research And we did not look up any ratings of this place at the time. We didn't.
Well, you probably didn't.
Well, of course, I never do any of that.
But, like, did I seek out that information? No, but it was visible to me while I was looking for, like, navigational directions or whatever.
But, like, okay, so we didn't dig to see.
Yes.
Is this place good? Like, what's the general consensus? Is there common, like, problems?
So when you search it in Google Maps, one of the things that pops up is, like, the generic description of what this place is, and that they were reviewed by some group on this website, and that they were rated an 8.7 out of 10.
Crazy. That's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement, and honestly, based off of that information alone, I was like, I wonder, I was like, how does this compare to Terror Manor? What if this shit really is scary? So then when you get there and you see their quote-unquote rules for their haunt, and you get in that queue line and it has that board where it's talking about how many people have pissed and shit themselves or
That's
quit.
True.
I was like, maybe this is going to be really good. Maybe this is going to be real spooky, whatever, and the building itself looks pretty awesome,
Yeah.
Does it really look like what you would think a haunted house would look like? I mean, I guess so. I don't know. But, with that information walking up, I was kind of expecting, I guess you could say I was expecting it to knock my socks off, if you will.
Or to make you feel like you're going to be dragged through the event, or piss your pants, or poo your pants, as it said on the sign, or quit. Because like you just said, there is a tally board that one of them says 2020, one of them said 2021. Forgive me if anyone's hearing this that works there and they're like, you are absolutely wrong. That's not what it says. I can tell you for a certainty it does say poo, piss, quit, and drag. Drag was not listed on 2020. It was listed on 2021, which I think one person was dragged through this year alone, which is crazy to me. Because
nobody had pooed themselves.
No, not yet. But that's crazy to me that someone's already been dragged through this event, because this is the first weekend of October. I don't even know. Did they open last weekend?
That I don't know. I'd have to go look.
It's okay. Without being knowledgeable right now and unprepared, it's possible that this was their first weekend. This might have been their second night open this season. I'm willing to bet not, but it's possible that it could have been their second weekend. Let me know. Look that up, please, and let me know. But the idea that someone's already been dragged through this event, that's like, man, this is going to be some hardcore stuff. And it's in the middle of kind of like a nowhere-ish town, where I'm sure there's stuff to do in Wytheville, but like I'm not very familiar with the place. We don't live there. We don't travel there really, aside to go to a haunted house. So yeah, there were those boards. We didn't do the research really to check into what it's going to be all about. What are we in for? Is this going to be an experience that is going to just like drive you insane? Like, what is this going to be like? And I like surprises, but I also kind of like to know, is this going to be worth my time? It's also hard to judge what you think off of people's criticism online, because a lot of time, not always, it would be unfair to say always. Well, yes.
They have also opened September 24th. Okay,
so this was their second weekend open.
Yes.
Even still, second weekend, already somebody's been dragged. But anyway, to say that last year 4 people pooed themselves, that's crazy. I working over a decade in haunts, and I considered myself to be above average of an actor. I have never made anyone shit their pants, ever. The biggest claim to fame that I have is I made a girl's water break. And is that really totally my fault, or
Yeah,
was it just coincidental for the time?
The baby said, "Get me the hell out of here."
Seriously, like,
sick of it.
I hit that scream. I did the first scare, and the girl was like, "Please help me, my water broke." And I'm like, I kind of did that. So, and what a visual to see people getting escorted by a stretcher out of a haunted house. That's crazy. I don't even know if that's good, because people are probably like, what the hell goes on in that place? We are not talking about Helheim for that particular moment. That was an experience I had when I used to work stuff like this.
Well, you should talk about that in another episode.
It's possible, yep. If there's even anyone who listens that are like, yeah, let's hear you talk about yourselves.
Let's just do it.
And there will be, before we get into like all these haunts, there will be more structure to these. This is kind of introductory. This is just for fun, whether people find out about us or not. This is meant to just be strictly for pure enjoyment and entertainment. These are just all our opinions. I'm not going to say that every single episode, because it's kind of to be like, it goes without saying. But I'm sure there'll be proper introductions. There'll be proper outros, like production value to it at some point. Maybe we'll get some real mics or whatever. I think I've already said all this, but like, just hang tight with us. We'll get there. Just give us time. But anyway, Helheim. They set a stage for expectations, I would say. Am I alone on that?
No.
They had a board out there that said, this is the stuff that people have done. They pissed themselves. They tapped out. They've been dragged through this event.
I would definitely say that they definitely advertised themselves very, very well. Their merch looks really awesome. Like I said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that they kind of hyped themselves up quite a bit.
And if I talk in circles, please...
Just ignore that.
Let me know. Let me know. Tell me, like, man, dude, get to the point. Like, whatever. So, a side note for Helheim, there is a review. I don't know if it's on Google or where it's at, but someone gave it a 1-star review because you guys don't know Norse mythology. Like, that was his complaint. He was like, this is nothing like real Helheim. So I was like, oh, who cares? So, all right. Before we even get in to the event, we are standing behind the line in the queue. At this point, a couple more people start showing up. Groups of people start showing up in the line. Starting to get dark. There's a guy, a character comes out. He's got a really cool look. Really cool look. He's tall dude. He's got a really, really cool costume on. Really nice mask. He's got this baseball bat that he's holding. He's just got a good look.
Yeah, good look for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like, kind of
possibilities are endless with this person.
Really imposing looking, really intimidating. Like, can scare the shit out of you. Has the potential to do that.
Intimidating would be really good, because he looked like he was there to fuck somebody's world up.
Very well could have been. So what does he do? He comes out, and I mean, he's putting the moves on. He's kind of feeling it out, like kind of walking around us, making noises and stuff. And he says "Hail Satan" at one point, and he kind of just walks away. He goes to the group behind us and starts talking to them. I'm not going to pretend like I heard what he said, because I wasn't listening, but it sounded like he was just making casual conversation with them.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I did catch was him informing them about, make sure when you complete the trifecta.
Something about a shirt. But
yeah, go pick up your shirt. That's what he said. Make sure you pick up your shirt. Which...
But he also told him something about leave a name, but I don't know. Not the point.
No, okay, sure.
Ignore that.
No, not ignore
that. It's irrelevant.
No, it's part of the experience. So I hear him giving insightful information. That's cool that you told him to go pick up the shirt, but like, we already know to do that. And if we don't know to do that, then let someone else tell them. Like, you're here to screw with people. And maybe I'm just being too harsh here, but I didn't feel like that was, like, you're setting the tone. The very first thing that people see should set the tone for the remainder of the event. That's just how I've always felt. If you start the show and you see a guy come out being like, hey guys, what's up? How's everybody doing? Like, well, I'm not scared now. Now you're my pal. Now you're my buddy. And we're just chit-chatting and bullshitting. And Then when you scare me later, I'm going to be like, oh, I thought we had a thing out there. We were just talking about shirts and whatnot.
Yep.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but that's kind of where I was there. The dude ended up coming back to us. Don't know what his character name was. Not really sure what he was. It was kind of like he had a skull mask of some sort. Really cool look. And he looked at you. He looked at me, and then gave us the finger.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well,
thank you, actually.
Yeah, that was good deal. Like that, I guess. He went back. He kept talking to people. Another group of people arrived, and we're still waiting in line, by the way. Another group of people arrived, and the guy breaks character and asks one of the people in the group that just walked up, what's her name? And then starts saying her name. Let me be a critic for a second, because everybody loves a critic, right? Of course not. Let me be that guy. That was lame. Already, I'm like, man, you broke a character, which, however you want to look at this kind of stuff, is all subjective. But I truly think that, like, even though we all know that this is an act, even though we all know that this is in good fun and no one's really out to harm anyone and this is supposed to be a show, there's the suspension of disbelief, like, man, these guys are total strangers in costumes that are just lunatics that are here to screw my night up. In a good way, of course, right? But here's this guy asking me what's her name so I could say her name. And honestly, from what I gathered, the person who was getting their name called out wasn't even reacting to it. Probably because they looked at it the same way, like, well, I just heard you ask my husband or whoever that was what my name was. That's not scary. So that could have been handled differently. That's just my take on that. It was kind of lame. So still waiting in line, and I hear a voice behind the shack that we're standing in front of, which I'm assuming is to be the entrance at this point. And I hear, "Hey, come here. Hey, come here. Yeah, come here." I kept hearing that. I don't know who that person's talking to. I hear where it's coming from. So I walk up to the shack, and this guy goes, "Do you not know how to follow rules?" I'm like, what? And if you're this person that just so happens to be listening to this, I'm sure you'll remember who I was, perhaps. Because we were the very, very first group of the night.
True.
So he says, "Do you not know how to follow rules?" I'm like, what are you talking about? The sign. There are signs on the doors. Read the signs. Okay. And he goes, "What does that sign say?" And I don't know if he was pointing, but like the only other sign that I could gather that he was pointing to was the one that says, "Do not, like, stand behind this line," I think is what it said. I said, "It says stand behind that line." He goes, "Good, where are you right now?" And I'm thinking, like, what's happening right now? You just called me over here. You kept saying, "Hey, come here," while I was standing behind that line, and then asked me if I know how to follow rules. Is that part of the show? Because if it is, I think you need to rework your routine. That was stupid. We haven't even made it into the event yet. And already I've watched this guy give me the finger for no reason, which again, I'm not offended by that, but it's just kind of like, okay, there was no real lead up to that. It was just like, here's the finger.
Yeah.
There wasn't any dialogue that led to it. It wasn't like part of a gimmick or anything. It's just, here's the finger. Okay. And then I hear him break character just to call someone's name who didn't react to it. Now I'm being asked to come to someone just to be told that I'm breaking a rule when I wasn't. And I'm like, is this a joke right now? Like, are we just like, is this a shitty episode of Punk'd or something? What are we doing? So I go wait behind the line. I'm kind of annoyed at this point. And I think you kind of were too.
Well, yeah, I would say yes, because I was actually already annoyed before that, because the guy with the bat, there was only, 6 of us in line at the time?
Something
we were
like
the
that.
only 2 that no one really fucked with, really. he didn't really come for us. He went for the people who looked scared, which I understand. That's the whole point. But it was only 6 of us.
That's true. That's true. And if we come off as like bitter or disgruntled at this, I'm sure it does, because I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, man, we're not having really good things to say so far. But
what it is.
This was our experience. This is what happened. I want to love everything that I go through. I don't like the idea of going and driving somewhere, whether it's a mile up the road or 100 miles up the road, and paying whatever it be, $1, $5, $20, $50, whatever, to see a show. Like, I don't want to go and do that and just be like, oh, I'm here to have a miserable time. I was really hoping that this was going to be fantastic. I was really hoping that like all the people were going to be really good at their acting spots, and like there was going to be really cool props, and we don't know this yet. At this point in our experience here, the only thing that we know is that no one really interacted with us aside giving us the finger and telling us to stop breaking rules after we were asked to walk up to them. So already I'm like sour, because I'm like, dude, what's the point of this right now? We haven't even made it into the event. So the door's open. We have wristbands on that were given to us at the ticket booth. I do not study wristbands when they're put on my hand or wrist or whatever. I don't typically get a wristband from an event and go, well, let me take a look at this thing.
Yep, same.
It's just on. It's just, this is my admission. So there's a guy who's dressed up in really cool attire. I'll say that much. He looked good for his part. And then a guy in regular clothes, which that's kind of off-putting too. I know that there's, no matter where you go, there's always going to be staff that are not in costume. But at this point, you just had us enter, and maybe this is nitpicking here, but you just had us enter the very first section, and you got a guy who's in character and a guy who is just in regular street clothes. And I'm like, okay, so what's your character? Are you security man? Why aren't you outside? Why are you in the first scene? It would have made sense if I saw you in the queue, because you're making sure everything's going good. You're not in the queue. You're in the first scene, or the introductory scene. Did that make sense to you?
What, the guy?
The security guy there in regular clothes in the thing. Yeah, no, that didn't make any sense. So they start doing what is clearly routine. I'm sure they do this for every group, which is fine. There's no problem there. You have to have structure. There was a giant board that had like a spin wheel on it, and the guy says something like, I couldn't really understand this guy, and that might be my fault, because he was talking quick, and there was a part of me that wasn't fully connected with like investing my attention to him.
Yeah.
Because I was looking around. Trying to observe.
Yeah.
I was kind of still in the mindset of like, man, that guy in costume outside was just like asking for people's names and giving us the finger for no reason. That didn't make sense. So I'm not fully connected with this guy. So that's admittedly my fault. But the guy says something about the black square on your wristbands. So we just hold our wrists out. Not all the way to him, but like we just kind of put our wrist out. And I'm not going to say he had an attitude, because that might have just been part of the character he was playing.
Yeah.
But
it was aggressive.
It came off as pretty abrasive. And he's like, the black square on your wristbands. I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, where? Oh, there it is. Okay, well, I apologize that I didn't study the wristband. Like, if I'm coming off as an asshole here, I'm...
Oh, and then the next question out of their mouth was, have you ever been here before? Or was that beforehand?
No, that was... Okay, so the first question after that, he marks the black thing, right? I guess that's to signify, like, you've already been through here. You're not going through again unless you pay for another ticket, which is fair. He goes, have you guys ever been to a haunted house before? You said yes.
Uh-huh.
And I said, oh boy, have I. And he says, have you ever been to us before? No, we haven't. Well, why? And I'm pretty sure that's routine. I'm pretty sure that's part of the act, right?
Yeah.
And we said, well, we just drove 2 hours to be here. We don't really get the chance to come out to this place all the time. And he was appreciative. Like, I'll credit where it is due. I'm not trying to come off like a jerk. He was appreciative, and he was like, well, thank you for taking the time to come out here. Glad you could be here, or however he said. There's house rules. And it was the security guy who gave the house rules. And the house rules, from what I understood, were no cell phones, no lighters, no cameras, no smoking, no vaping, no weapons. Simply just don't be an asshole, is what he said. That's not me paraphrasing what he said. Like, he actually used those words. Don't be an asshole. Okay, so I thought that was kind of ironic because at this point you have people outside just randomly giving you the finger and telling you that you're breaking rules, and maybe they didn't mean any harm by it, but I was like, if this is part of the act, maybe figure out a different way on how to work that part of the act, because it comes off as confusing. It doesn't really come off as scary or like quick-witted. It just comes off as confusing. You asked me to come here to tell me I'm breaking a rule and then just send me back behind the line. Like, that didn't even make sense to me. So he has you spin.
Yeah.
He has you spin the thing, and what did you land on?
Magic trick.
Magic trick. Okay. Before he did that, he said, which one of you are the jumpy one? And then the security guard, which the more I think about it, the more I have a problem with this. And not a problem like, man, I don't want you to do this, but like, I just don't get it. Why is there a guy in street clothes who's part of the act? Unless he's being like killed or tortured or something. Like, help me, I'm just a regular person in regular clothes, help me, I can't leave, right? That would make sense. But you're just in this introductory scene in normal clothes giving rules, and he pounds on this metal street sign to see which one of us would jump. Who jumped?
None of us.
Neither of us. Because we're pros. I'm kidding. No, it's no, because
we're not afraid of you.
We're not. You can't scare me, scary man. No, but we didn't jump, and it's not because I saw that coming. Because admittedly, I do pop for pop scares, because even if you see it coming, it always gets you, no matter what. Like, if you turn a corner and you're like, something's gonna fucking jump out right here, and it does, you're still like, there it is. It always gets you. So neither of us jumped, and I think they were kind of, maybe I'm wrong. I think they were kind of bummed because they were expecting one of us to be like, oh shit, right? And it didn't happen. And they go, well, neither of them's jumpy. So he had you spin. You landed on magic trick.
Yeah.
And I liked this part. This was kind of taking me back into like, okay, now we're on the right track. This is cool. So he goes, do you want what's in hand A or in hand B? And which hand did you choose?
I chose hand B.
B. And then he said, they always choose hand B. And he says, I'm going to make a bird appear. Are you ready? And then he gives the finger, flips the bird. Okay, good. That's good. I like that. That was cool. Scary? No. But
funny.
But okay.
Entertaining.
You remember what I said previously, whether it was this episode or the episode before, is try to scare them. Try to unnerve them, try to unsettle them, try to spook them in some fashion, right?
Yes.
And if that doesn't work, at least try to make them laugh.
Yes.
I feel like, I don't know if this guy works by that code, but I felt like he did, because they tried to scare us with the startle tactic. It didn't work, right?
Yeah.
And that's no one's fault. We just didn't jump.
We're just desensitized.
So we didn't jump. So he tried to make us laugh, and for that I commend that. That was really cool. I like that. Here are the rules. You are ready to go. So they let us go through the right side. Man, we just spent 30 minutes talking about the introduction to the haunt. That's how much took place before we even got in. We go start walking through the haunt. My favorite part about this, because I'm going to break this down into two sections of the haunt, because there was an outdoor paved section and then there was an indoor section.
Okay.
All right. So the outdoor first part of the haunt, my favorite part about it was that it was paved and level.
Yes, me too. And I didn't feel like I was going to trip or break my freaking ankle on uneven ground. So that was nice.
So let that be a spoiler to how I feel about the rest of the haunt, that my favorite part about half of it was that I could walk on concrete. I don't mean to sound like a dick, because that kind of just says that
it's an opinion, and
It's an
everybody has one.
much
and
like
I
a poop
don't care.
shoot. Much like a poop shoot. We all have it.
Yes.
Right. And sometimes we use it to talk shit. So, I mean, like,
Well,
not really. But.
And I'm not here to be like, no, don't go here. This place sucks, because your experience could be totally different.
Yeah,
we could go next year and it'd be amazing.
We might,
Go. Just for us, you'll see.
Everybody go to this. Anyone who's listening, all one of you or 0 of you or 1,000, 1 million, who cares? However many people actually hear this. If you want to experience, whether you're like, well, these people had this time, maybe I'll have an opposite time, or I need to see this for myself. Everybody should be encouraged to go find out for themselves. I'm not trying to like drive business away from places, nor do I have the credentials to do so. It's not like I'm world renowned or anything and people need to listen to my opinion, but like everyone should experience this for themselves to build their own opinion. And they could also share it with others as well, right? I went there, and this guy that said that this happened and this happened, I didn't see any of that, and I had a great time. So we go through, there's static. It's static. It's static. It's static. And it's just like a whole bunch of nothing happening. And I don't even want to say there were cool visuals. There was one centerpiece section of like this giant totem that was in the center that was like surrounded by lit up torches and this really cool looking character. But that was visually the only really, really cool looking thing outside. There were so little actors outside. And I don't know if there was a staffing issue that night. I don't know if this is all volunteer based. A lot of them are. I don't want to say that they are and they're not, vice versa. But there were very few actors outside. All shared a common trait. They all had some type of shoe or bat or something that made sparks show up on the ground. And every single one of them did it.
Yes.
So, cool effect. I like that effect. I like the sparks flying up. But everyone did it. There was a guy that we passed that didn't say anything or do anything except for just make sparks show up on the ground. And was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that effect. I do. And then we walked even further and went through this little section of like wood paneling or whatever. We walked through that. And then there was another person who's like, welcome to hell. And they made sparks show up and we're like, okay. And then they snarled. All right. That effect was cool. We did just see that. There was someone playing like a drum that was made out of like, I guess like a drum head and like a barrel or something. It sounded like a real drum. There was a real drum head on it. And they were pounding on it and they were saying lines that I truly couldn't hear because of the way that they were talking. Like, oh, welcome to, like, that's kind of how they were doing it. So because of that, I couldn't really understand what was being said. More static, a lot of not too much going on. We did finally encounter that guy. I don't know if it happened in that order, but we did finally encounter that guy that was like in the center section. And he was saying lines too that I really couldn't hear quite well. But I did hear him say like, I will see you again soon. And I'm like, okay. I got down with that because you're building to later.
Yep.
I like that.
Me too.
And he also made sparks appear.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
He also made sparks appear. So I think at this point in time, we've encountered 3 or 4 people. I think all of them made sparks appear. Maybe not the drum person. I don't think they made sparks appear. So maybe I'm wrong there. But we walk a little bit further. There's more characters. There's a dude in a plague doctor suit who didn't say anything. He didn't snarl. He didn't make any noise. He just kind of walked behind us, and we tried to play with him a little bit, and he just wasn't having anything. Could be wrong, but I do believe he made sparks appear. So we walked around and we ended up looping back to that centerpiece section again, but like in a different section of it. And the guy was there and then said something. And I don't know if he said welcome to hell or like you guys are in for, like, basically you guys are about to encounter your doom, something. He didn't say those lines, but like basically that's the message he was getting across. And I was like, okay, well, you did say that you were going to see us again, so check mark on that. You did encounter us again. More sparks. And honestly, we got to a part where there was kind of like, not really a tour guide, but someone that led you into another section. And they were kind of a character, but also kind of not. They were talking as if they were a character, but when we said something back to them, they were talking like, oh, okay, right? Like that they were just a normal worker.
Like, yeah, like a regular worker.
So I was kind of confused as to what that was. At this point, I honestly thought the haunt was over. And I was about to be really upset if it was. Because, like, you're kidding, right? We literally just encountered a couple of people that made sparks show up from some effect on their equipment that they were carrying. And that's it. That's really it. So, there were 3 things written on the floor that I made a comment about each one of them to the person that was guiding us to the next section. But at the time, I didn't know it was another section. I thought she was just walking us to the exit. And it said run. And I said, well, I can't do that. And she goes, okay. And then the next one said fall. And I said, I probably will do that. And then we walked up to the next written piece that said die. And I said, well, I do hope I do that.
And she's like, oh, no, I hope not. Or something like that.
So that's where I was confused. I was like, are you a character or are you not? I'm not really sure. Like, what's next? So she brings us to a door, and that's when I realized, like, okay, that was just like the lead up to the real deal. So all of my critique had finally just been alleviated because I was like, all right, not going to knock that. I'm not going to say that was bad because overall it wasn't bad. It just really wasn't anything. Because now we're about to see the real deal. And she says something, honestly, I fucking can't remember, but she opens the door. It's now time for you guys to go in, right? I hope you have a good time. Okay, cool. Right off the bat, you walk in there, there's a giant sign that says 666. And I'm like, all right, I'm digging this. I like this already. I'm already into it. We walk in there. There is some crazy ass metal playing. I don't know which band it was. It kind of sounded like Behemoth. It probably wasn't. I don't know. But it was some wild music that really set the atmosphere for where you were in. I really liked the music because, like, that's what I think of when I think of a haunted house. It's just extreme, brutal music playing. So it fit. What was the first thing that happened?
Some really, really, really tall bitch jumps from somewhere. I don't know.
Okay. And did she say anything?
I think she said, hey, Alice. I don't know. It wasn't, like, scary or anything.
I think that's pretty accurate. I don't know if it was hey, guys, but it was like,
hey, welcome.
Welcome. Hi, how are you, right?
She's like a tour guide.
That's... I don't know if she was supposed to be a tour guide, but she followed us a majority of the house.
Indeed.
She very much knew her way around the house, of course, right? But she kept popping up in different areas. What I liked about this character was that she would say, follow me, or come on. Like in the voice, hey, follow me, come on, right? Like that kind of thing. And then just disappeared. And then popped up in a totally different area.
Yes.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yes. And it reminds me of something in a video game. She reminds me of like a Borderlands character.
Kind of. I'm sure that's exactly where they were going with that, right? What's the scariest thing we could think of?
Borderlands.
A twisted character that guides you places but screws with you at the same time. Borderlands. Yep, there you go. That's it. I don't think that's what they were going for, but I did like that aesthetic to it. I thought that was kind of cool how she kept popping up in different areas and like very much hitting pop scares.
She's very energetic, and I like as far as I'm not really 100% sure what she was supposed to be or whatever, but like if this wasn't a haunted house, this would have been fine. I guess.
So okay, but like you also think of it too, like do I consider this like a casual event? Not really. Not really. But at the same time, the way that they're presenting themselves is kind of in a casual fashion.
Yeah.
Like, they have the extreme music.
But it's no different than me just popping up and saying hello.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, hey, I'm here.
Yep. And
let me follow you.
Let me follow you.
It's this way.
It's this way. So that was kind of cool. Like, I don't think she was bad. I didn't think at all that she was bad at what she did. She was actually quite good at what she did, but there wasn't really much that was going on. We passed a couple of static scenes that were just like kind of nothingness. Music continued throughout the house. Fantastic. We encountered our first scene, which you could hear happening before we even made it to it. And I liked that. I liked that you could hear it from a distance, which you're like, it builds intrigue to like, what am I about to stumble in on?
Yes.
What was the first scene that we saw?
I don't even know. I don't remember.
Well, if you can't remember, it was a guy bent over.
Oh, yes.
Shouting at the top of his lungs. And I commend this guy because we were the first group out of who knows how many. And to shout like that all night, god damn. Like that can be rough. He looked like he didn't have clothes on. In reality, he did. But he looked like he was naked in a cage. A big cage, bent over, shouting like crazy obscenities, which felt real.
Yes.
Like, because if I was in this situation, I would probably be doing the same. He was shouting, swearing, screaming, and there was a girl that was next to him laughing in costume that was smacking him on the ass with like this bullwhip or whatever tool she was using and like basically punishing this guy. All right. That was a cool scene. And it felt real. Like, it had that mystique and aura that was like, man, if I was in that position, I'd be shouting like that too. I like how they nailed that. More static. More of, like, cool music, but really, like, a couple of few pop scares that were just like, ah, and that was about it. We did. So I'm gonna let you sit here for a second. I know all I do is talk, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna run a couple scenes by it, and then I'll get your insight on it. Like, I guess when I'm finished. Is that cool?
That's fine. You have more to talk about than me.
Well, that's fine. So change me up if I'm wrong.
Sure.
Okay. So the first scene was bomb. That was cool. And then we passed. There was one scene where it was a couple of I guess it was just a couple of girls. There was a lot of girls in this. A majority of the actors or actresses were female. That I was able to notice. And there's nothing wrong with that. Man, girls can be super creepy, much the same as guys can be super creepy. There's equality there as far as like there's no discrimination on who's better at what. Like, there just happened to be more girls than guys here. So, did you notice that as well?
What?
Did you notice that as well?
Notice what?
That the girls.
Yeah.
There was far more girls than guys in that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm hoping that you're enjoying those.
Mhm.
Yeah. Jalapeno poppers.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So, and this is great about raw footage is that there's no editing here, at least not at this stage. So, got to eat a jalapeno popper while recording. Just go ahead and do it. So there was more of just like a couple of pop scares, and then we got to the one scene where I have something to say about this. It was a girl that was being burned alive. You remember that?
Yes.
I don't even know if it was a proper scene. It was like a walk-by attraction, I guess. So this girl was like, I guess I couldn't really get a good look at it, which is kind of ironic because of what I'm about to say. But I think her hands were like tied up above her head, And there was, I don't know if it was an LED board. I don't know if it was just like some type of like digital graphic. I don't know how they did it as far as like what equipment was used, but there was fake fire of some sort. Now, before I finish this statement, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying, well, they should have used real fire, because that would have been stupid. That would have been stupid. But again, haunts are all smoke and mirrors for the most part.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
It's an illusion. Yeah, it's an
like
illusion.
Magic.
Yeah, it's an art. At least that's what I think. So this is a scene that would be awesome if you were on like a hayride or something, where the fakeness to it or authenticity couldn't be exposed. When you're standing so close to a scene where you could look down and see that this girl is standing just fine, and that you could see that the flames are coming up in a digital fashion and she's really not on fire. Again, I'm not saying the alternative here is to really light this girl on fire, because that would be stupid. But let's just say that that's from a distance, and you're like in a hayride and you can't see the ground below her, and you could see that she's clearly just standing and is totally fine, and you could see how fake and digital the flames look. That would have looked awesome.
Yeah.
But because we're standing right in front of it and you can clearly see that this is all just a gimmick, you're like, okay, well, I know you're fine. Like, even if you take the fakeness away, like, even if I already knew you were fine, I'm looking at you like, well, what are you screaming for? Those flames are fake, and I could see that you're standing.
And then, on top of that, you get halfway through the room and she stops screaming and still moving.
While you're still standing in front of her.
Mm-hmm. And
like, okay, I guess she died and the flame stopped at the same time. So, I don't know.
Still moving though.
Yeah, that's nitpicking on my part. I really think it is. I really think it is. That's nitpicking on my part, because it doesn't have to look perfect. I'm not saying like it needs to be Hollywood production value here, but that just looked too hokey. But you could have done
the illusion wasn't there.
Exactly. You could have done the exact same scene from a distance, and it would have had a way bigger impact. That's just me. You walk around a little bit more, and then you encounter the second real scene, because I don't really count that incineration as a scene. And this was my favorite part of the event because of how unusual it was. I know that there are wild and outlandish extreme haunts that like push the boundaries to a limit to where most people couldn't hang. There was someone, was it two girls that were playing these parts? One of them obviously was a girl.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. There was a girl that you could see, I couldn't tell if you could see the whole body, but the whole premise of this was she was basically having her tits chopped off. Like they were fully exposed. They were not her real tits, of course. Like that's not they weren't going to do that, and that's fine. I wouldn't want them to do that. But it was a doctor who I also think was female, and like laughing as she was like sawing or like blading through this girl's her chest, and like you could see like exposed tit, and the girl that was being cut open was like, help me, screaming. Really, really good at that. Like sounded believable. I will say, out of the two major scenes where the dude getting paddled and whipped and the girl getting like split open, they did a really good job making it seem believable. Like they were really in agonizing pain. They did really good at that. And the people that were torturing them or cutting them open did a good job making it seem like they were maniacs. I agree. I'll say that. Like they're just like, look at me, I'm just destroying this person's life and I don't have any consideration for them. It was cool. I like that. That was that. We walked a little bit more. There were a couple more pop scares, I believe, if I remember correctly. A little bit more static. And then we make it outside. This is one section where I would imagine a lot of casual fans, a lot of people who are very easily scared. This is where they would have lost their shit under any normal circumstance. This part that I'm about to talk about here with you was the biggest letdown of the entire haunt.
For you?
For me, what I'm about to
Okay.
say. So, we've already seen a grown-ass man spanked to death. We've seen a girl fake catch on fire. And we've seen some girls get her titties split off. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I've complimented a couple of things here that I thought looked cool, were done well. Some things not so much, but whatever, right? Mm-hmm. We get outside, and there's like a fenced off section to the right of you. And you're walking through this path.
Oh, yep. Yep.
This is the exit. This is the finale. You hear a guy rip a chainsaw, like he's ripping the cord. You hear the chainsaw start. And like I said, under normal circumstances, to most casual fans of this stuff, this is where they would have lost their mind. People hate chainsaws, especially when they get close, right? Okay. This was so bad. I hate to sound like that. I really do. This was so unreal bad. Because what came out of that... Now, if this is done differently all the time and we just happen to get unlucky, then shut me up. But what we saw was a guy in blue jeans and a regular shirt. No makeup, no face paint, no mask, nothing. No prosthetics, absolutely nothing. He stepped out from behind the fenced area, didn't come anywhere outside of that fenced area, just revealed himself. Didn't hold the chainsaw over his head, didn't swing it around like Leatherface, didn't rev it, just started it, and 5 seconds later turned it off. The end.
The end.
That was the end of the show. Holy shit. What a traumatic letdown. Now, anyone could argue and say, well, I heard you say that you were upset that that guy got face to face with you at Hexed. So why are you complaining about how this guy didn't get close? Well, I don't want to stand face to face with someone that I could feel their breath. But if you're supposed to scare me and you have to get at least a little bit close, like you're at least presenting the illusion that you're going to come after me, I'm okay with that. This guy did none of that.
Yep.
He started a chainsaw, didn't rev it, let it run for 5 seconds and turned it off. In regular ass clothes, no costume, no face paint, nothing. Now again, if that's normally a character that didn't show up, if they normally go nuts with a chainsaw and make it seem like we're about to kill you, we got unlucky. That was a huge letdown. So, visually the place in some areas looked really cool.
Really cool, yep.
Some people were okay at what they did. There were 2 pretty okay scenes. It was a very short attraction. I think it was very short. There wasn't enough going on to justify spending that money on it. Like, granted, we got a discount, but I still feel like I overpaid even with a discount for that particular experience we got. Now, as previously mentioned, I'm sure you get a different show every time. I just wish I didn't get that show.
Same. I mean, I really do think it could be so much better, and also something else as well.
Now,
it is supposed to be based off of the Norse mythology or whatever, but I didn't really, other than like symbols and a couple of maybe small references here and there, I really didn't see how any of the things that we asked really related to that whatsoever.
well, I'm not
Which
very...
is what that one person's complaint was.
That's true. But...
And
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just, I don't really know what to expect or what we should expect or if it should even be related or if they're just using the name.
It's possible. The way that I took it, and maybe I'm wrong here, I took it that they used Helheim because it had the word hell in it. And that's like kind of synonymous with like spooky time, Halloween haunts and stuff, right? Like, right? Maybe I'm entirely wrong.
But then when you also think about Terror Manor and Meeks Manor, right? They basically had a backstory.
It's true.
Kind of, I guess.
Terror Manor and Meeks Manor being the exact same place, just renamed.
Well,
just in case. I don't know if we.
Well, if you haven't listened to the other one, listen to the other one. You should be listening to this one anyway. Anywho.
No, you should be listening to this one, just not first.
Yeah, exactly.
Just not first.
Not first.
Don't listen to this.
Or don't listen to this. This is
if you don't
trash.
want to, if this sucks, don't listen to it. I don't care. Do what you want to do. This is notes to our future self. This is fun. So when I left there were a couple of people. When we left there, because we were both there. I don't know why I'm speaking like I was the only one there. That's stupid of me. When we left there were 2 people that asked us how it was. And the first person I said it was visually pretty cool, because that was the truth. That's how I felt.
I didn't want to lie to those people. It was okay at best. Even if I was 5 years old, nothing in there would have scared me. Well, except for the dark. That's it.
If I was 5 years old and I saw some girl get her titties cut off, I would have been traumatized.
I don't think so. I think I would have been like, why is that happening? It wasn't scary. Like, well, just gore. That's all that really was.
That's true. That's true. Blood, guts, and gore is a big part of scaring people, but, like, I don't know.
You're talking to someone who thinks The Exorcist is the best movie ever. But, like, whatever.
The second guy asked us what we thought of it, and we were like, it's alright, it's not bad. Because it wasn't bad. As a whole, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't anything that was like, man, I don't know. The best way to put it was I was very let down. Can that place be great? It might be.
Potential's there if they had a good solid group of people.
It might be great, and we just got unlucky. Maybe we really just got unlucky. I don't know, but there are some people there that can make that place great. And if you guys are listening and the stuff that we complained about at the beginning was part of the show and we just misunderstood it, that's our fault. That's how it came across to us. Anyone that is inquiring about trying the Trifecta, or maybe not even trying the Trifecta, maybe just wanting to check out Helheim, do it. Check it out and find out for yourself.
Honestly, you should check everything out for yourself, because just because we think it might not have lived up to our expectations or thoughts, I guess expectations is the best way to put that, but if what we experience is not going to be what you experience.
Well, it might, but we don't know. It might be somebody.
You might think that's the scariest shit you ever seen. I don't know.
Somebody might go through it and think that it was worse than what we thought, and they were just like, "Dude, this is the one guy left it a 1-star review and was like." So, out of 6 stars, this for me. I said it before we even left. I said, as much as we didn't care about Hexed, really, it could have been great, but it kind of slipped. We said Hexed was 2.5. When we left Helheim, I said Hexed was better. This gets a 2 out of 6 for me.
Well, I was going to give it a 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, harsh words.
Is it, though? I mean, I just didn't even think it was entertaining. I was bored. And when I tried to play with the monsters, if you will.
I like that. Yep.
You just got nothing back. It's heavy breathing, or let me stab my stick into the ground to scare you, make you run a little faster. It really wasn't that spectacular to me. I was bored.
Don't be afraid if you're a haunted house actor. Do not be afraid to get wild. Now, of course, if you work for a place that tells you who to be, I would firstly, this is just my opinion, I would consider who you're working for first. I think a big part, especially if it's volunteer work, a big part of working haunted house attractions is teamwork and creative freedom. I'm not saying that you should be able to walk into a haunt and be like, I'm expected to do 100% of the stuff that I want to do only. I'm sure that, the owners, managers, whatever, they have an idea of what certain people should do. And there's certain people that are going to do certain scenes a certain way. I get that. I get that there has to be structure. But, like, roaming scenes where you're just kind of like filler, and you're like lead up to another thing, if you're given the opportunity to be creative with your lines or your verbiage or dialogue, whatever, and you have that opportunity to be clever and quick-witted, show that to people, show that to customers. These customers don't know who you are unless your friends are coming through or your family's coming through. That's a different story. But like, part of putting on a mask or covering your face with paint allows you to transform into something you otherwise wouldn't be able to be. So don't be scared. Don't be afraid to say crazy stuff and make people feel weird and uncomfortable. That's why you're there, and that's what we want. So, words of wisdom, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. So, 2 for me, 1 out of 6 for you.
Yep.
Damn. All right. So, moving on. The last stop of the trifecta, but not the last stop of the night. St. Albans Sanatorium. This is in Radford, Virginia. This was a 35-minute drive away from our already 2-hour, 6-minute travel from our location here in Virginia to Wytheville, Virginia, and now on to Radford. This place is apparently, if you believe in this kind of stuff, is supposedly really haunted. Is that right?
That's what they say. That is the word on the street.
Okay. Is this a for real asylum or sanatorium? Is this a for real, like, place?
It was a hospital of some sort at some point. I don't know. I'm trying to pull something up right now.
Okay.
Because I don't have that information. Probably should have had that before we did this.
It's okay. No, that's raw footage. These tickets were also $20 at face value, with a discount for the Trifecta of Terror promo card. This was our third and final stamp of the weekend. This was going to be our t-shirt that is free cash-in. This was $18 per ticket with the promo card. $20 normally. The queue line was up a hill. Boy, howdy, do I hate walking uphill. That sucks. I was so out of breath, and I'm like, man, this is their opportunity. The show could start right here. If I walked up the hill just to get a ticket and someone genuinely scared me, I was theirs for the taking because I was not running anywhere. I was already about to die from exhaustion. We got to the queue line, which had some queue line entertainment. There was a stilt walker who didn't have any lines but looked cool. Like, had some really cool prosthetics on. What's that face?
I don't know.
You didn't like it? Okay.
It was fun.
I thought it was cool. So this, from what I could tell, we were standing in line. I felt like it was going to take a while to get through. And for good reasons, explain here in a moment. We had the misfortune of waiting in line behind very, very young high school girls that were...
maybe. They were probably a little older
like
than that.
Maybe late middle school or something. I get it. We were all that age at some point. Maybe some of us are that age. I don't know. But obnoxious to say the least. And I know you guys are out having a good time. But I wanted to not be around that. And that's not the haunt's fault. I'm not even at all. It
honestly makes me wonder if I was really annoying at that age.
Oh, I'm sure I was. But, like...
It was just bad.
It was... Now, that doesn't impact...
They were also kind of rude.
They were kind of crappy to the queue line entertainment, and they were, like, super disrespectful. But that does not impact my experience at the haunt at all. Like that.
Yeah, same.
That didn't take away from anything. It was. I didn't want to be near them, but that doesn't have anything to do with the haunt, nor is it the haunt's fault. So we're standing there. We have our tickets punched. We're waiting in line. We're wondering at this point, are we going to be able to make it back in time to hit Terror Manor once more and do all 3 of them in the same night? We don't know how long this event's going to take. We do know that the drive from St. Albans Sanatorium to Terror Manor was roughly an hour. on top of how long we wait in line and on top of how long it takes to get through the haunt. So we're kind of worried that we weren't going to make it. But luckily, the people that work there were talking about how it's best to do groups of 6. So there was a group of 4 that was next in line that had no group of 2 to go with them. So this saved the night. They asked if we were willing to go with a group. I said yes. So did they. Something that I like to say, if for some chance you happen to encounter us at an event like this, like a haunted house, something that you'll find me say all the time to total strangers that we end up getting paired up with is, I have no problem being with you guys, but you don't know who I am. Right? I kind of like playing with the customers too, where it's, well, I don't mind walking with strangers, but do you? So that's fun, and it usually makes people like kind of chuckle a little bit, like, oh, okay, this guy's kind of weird, but they gave us the rules. They gave us a little history about the building. They said that there are paranormal investigations that go on in this building regularly. The next one that is taking place is on Sunday, October 31st this year, and admission is $600. I will not be paying that to partake in that. No thanks.
What?
I'm not paying $600 to do a paranormal investigation.
That's not how much it costs.
That's what she said.
That's to rent out the whole thing. It's $50.
Oh. Oh, well,
I tried to tell you that.
Well, that's how little I pay
you
attention.
Don't listen.
Yeah, apparently not. That's why I can't. That's why that dude got so upset with me when I wasn't following directions, right?
Because I'm looking at it right now. $50.
Okay. So they let us into the haunt. This building, inside and out, super fucking creepy. You could tell. They said that this building is over 100 years old. Is it? I really don't know.
I would say so. When it was built, I don't know, but there was issues in that area in the 1700s with Indians.
Okay. So, yeah. So there's the whole, like, not necessarily burial ground story, but like something to the effect.
People being scalped and all this other stuff. Okay. So anyway.
So really terrible shit that happened to people in that building. Okay. We did notice something. We can't confirm or deny what we saw, but I could tell you what it is that we saw. There was a window that we saw. So, because this is why we have to do research before we start doing this stuff. Okay. Tips for the future. Yeah. Because this building or that building was constructed in 1892 and it functioned as a Lutheran boys' school at first. Really? Yep. So I'm sure there's some crazy, inappropriate stuff that happened back then too.
Hard to say.
It's possible.
Turn them into future Southern gentlemen.
All right. Well, that's the building that we were in. So we did.
Bullying was not condoned; it was encouraged.
Really? All right, that's interesting. So, so we're waiting in line. I know I already said at this point that we went into the haunted house, but I'm going to backtrack for a second.
It even says that that school made homicides and suicides frequent occurrences on campus.
Interesting. So terrible shit happened there.
In a nutshell.
Okay. So we're in line, and we look at a window that I'm pretty sure was not part of the haunt. Like, it didn't look like there was any type of lighting in there or anything that can construe it as this is one of the rooms that you'll encounter when you're up here. But there was a really, really old, like, tapestry or curtain that would, from time to time, violently move and then just stop out of nowhere for a couple of minutes.
Like, completely stop. Like just be moving and then not even slow down. It just stopped.
Just at the stop, right. But, I mean, we can't... For all we know that there was someone there, there might have been an air vent. Yeah, it looked really weird though, and it was cool. So we go into the haunted house. this place looks terrifying inside. Not even just because of props, just the overall like old look of this, and like it just looks like the building's decaying. And it's just a really perfect atmosphere for what you're trying to sell to people. We went with a group of 4 strangers. They were pretty nice people, pretty cool. I enjoyed their company. I wasn't like, oh man, let's hang out afterwards, but like for the event, I was cool with it. Cool visuals, really cool props that they used. Nothing really stood out as far as like certain scenes. Everything that they did made sense and was pretty good. The actors played back with you, like when you said stuff to them, and they were, for the most part, quick-witted. They were rather clever. There were stairs that went up. There were stairs that went down. There were bridges, mattresses you had to walk across. They threw it all at you. And it's crazy to think that, like, that there are stairs as a part of a haunt, because that's a supreme safety issue. Because you could easily trip up and down a flight of stairs. And these were not new stairs that were cleaned and polished. These were unleveled as shit. And these were supremely, like, just old steps that you felt like you could easily fall off of these. I'm not saying it's a safety issue, like they should fix that. But, like, it was just surprising to see stairs in a haunt, because most people are like, damn, I could fall down that and break my neck. That's scary. That just added to the show. I thought that was cool. Everything just looked super eerie. You went upstairs, you went downstairs. There were 2 major points that I had to point out about this place. One in which was, there is a trick, like, this might be obvious to some people, but there is a trick that haunts do, and that is they put a light of some sort to blind you as you walking towards it, because there's usually someone behind it that charges in front of you who could easily see because they're not looking at the light. They did that a couple of times in this haunt. I don't have a problem with that. They used it to their advantage really well. The one thing that was fantastic, that was just like, oh my god, this is so good, was there was a really, really long, narrow hallway in 2 different sections of the house that had doors on each side of it that were wide-ass open and pitch black inside of them. On top of what's already a really terrifyingly old building. And there's a person that's standing by themselves at the door that's in the center all the way at the end of the hallway. And there's one dim light in the center of the hallway. And right when you walk underneath it, it turns off. But there's just enough, like, subtle light coming from somewhere else that you could see a person standing at the end. It wasn't like he wasn't hidden well. Their whole intention was for you to see it, but just hardly. Because you know that you have to walk towards that. And the light went off at just the right time. I was like, this part is perfect. This part is perfect. You would loop around to scenes that you would see, and then come around the backside of it and go through it. I really thought that was cool. Unnecessary laughing, you know how we talked about earlier, how people are just like, ha 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 ha, for no reason.
Yeah, just to be, try to be creepy, just doesn't work.
There was only one group of people that did that here.
Yep.
And that was the clowns.
Yep.
And that made sense.
Yes.
I thought that was awesome. Really long. This might have been the longest haunt that I've ever been through. How long would you say this is? This was like 30 to 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah, probably. Because, I mean, you do have to go up and down the stairs. So, and you revisit a couple of things. So, yeah.
You could take it slow. I mean, you can run if you want.
No, I'm good. I'm too fat for that.
You could take it slow. And you didn't get like this is just lame vibe. You didn't get like these people are being rude vibe. Like, it was just people were putting the show on and doing it good. So I was really...
It was like a haunted house. It was like it was supposed to be.
It was like a haunted house was supposed to be.
Yep.
A couple of things that I would have been like, oh man, I'd change that. I would put this here. I'd put this there, I'd make this person say this, or this could be done there. Really cool props, really cool rooms, really long haunt. And that could be a weak point for some people. Some people just want it to be quick and get it done with. I disagree. I think the longer the better. Just because if it takes a long time, you feel like you're getting a really intense experience. Like the ups and downs of the staircase. Liked the really, really eerie feeling. We went into the basement, and it just felt uncomfortable down there. Like, it really did. Like, it just felt like I shouldn't be in here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was really weird, and it was really cool. Not a lot of noticeable scenes, though. Just a good collection of pretty standard, typical haunt stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing outrageous. Just really solid work. Then we get to the end, and we trade in our tickets. We get our Trifecta of Terror shirts. Those were free at no charge whatsoever. And luckily, because we got to cut the line because they needed a group of 6, now we have time to go to Terror Manor, don't we?
Uh-huh.
What do we...
Cutting it close, but yes.
Cutting it close, but yes. So, out of 6, I am giving this... I'm going to give this a 4.5.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was surprisingly good.
Yes, I agree.
I've seen better, experienced better, but like it was good enough and surprisingly good enough to where I feel like that's a pretty solid ranking there. We drive an hour. Oh, parking was free, by the way. Parking was free, no charge. So again, out of the 4 places we went to over the 2 nights, Hexed was the only place that charged for parking, $5.
For no reason, but yes, continue.
Just to park your car. Got to make money on top of those ticket sales.
No, $20.
15 that day.
20.
So we drive 55 minutes back to Roanoke, Virginia. We pull up. It's 10:25 at this point. We walk up to Terror Manor, and I'll keep this one short. We'll both keep this short, but we're still going to talk about it. We pull up. Parking is free for Terror Manor. Love that. Mm-hmm. This building is amazing looking. This place is the life of the party. There's fun music playing. There is a screen that's playing like promo videos for the haunt outside. We've already talked about this place. We went, we put our Trifecta of Terror shirts on to represent, like, yo, check this out, we finished it. We got in line. The girl taking tickets recognized us from the night before and was super awesome to talk to. Gave us a lot of really cool information. Took our money for a second admission. Was going to buy a couple of pieces of merchandise. Didn't have any available. Not a problem. I'm happy you're selling it. I'm happy that you're sold out of it. That just shows people that are into you guys. We ended up being the second to last group of the night because we were there just about when it was about to close. And went through, waited a little bit in the queue line upstairs. Only complaint I had about this was, holy shit, was it hot inside.
Yeah, it was like hotter than it's ever been.
Man, I was
Normally
sweating.
It's cold.
No,
Normally it's cold.
I was sweating just standing still. And I don't really necessarily think that's the haunt's fault.
It's
there was
not.
There was a lot of people in that building.
Well, they did say it was pretty busy, like 700-ish people.
There were a couple people that said it was busier than they have personally ever seen it. Before we got into the building, I mentioned this previously, but we did get to meet one of the 2 owners, unless there's more than 2 owners, and if so, apologies for incorrect information. This guy's name was Scott. Holy shit, this guy was incredible. I already talked about this experience, but man, that guy was awesome. Really appreciative, really happy that we were there. Seemed very genuine. Gave me the opportunity to come out and work if I wanted to. I told him I would never work a haunt again, but this place gave me the itch to do it again. Shook my hand, got the opportunity to meet him. I think the other owner's name is Rob. Met him once. We both did. We both met him once. That was during the Meeks Manor days. Was that what that was?
Yes.
Okay.
Hunter.
Hunter Meeks. That's right. Yeah, that's who it was. Hunter Meeks. So probably doesn't remember if he gets to hear this. Probably doesn't remember who we are. But Rob, if you do hear this, it was cool talking to you 3 years ago, and you let us cut the line, even though we didn't spend any extra money on that particular night. So I remember that. That's much appreciated. Your haunt, you and Scott have the best haunt I've ever seen. And let me come work with you guys and let me fuck people's nights up all night. You want to do it too?
I wouldn't be good at it.
You don't think so?
No.
No. Well, I might not even be good at it anymore. I might have been like, man, like 13 years ago, that was your heyday. Now you suck. So, went through the maze that was out front again. That was good. You would think that we knew where we were going because we had already done it the night before. We are idiots. We went the wrong way just about every single time. Went through the haunt, and it was a different show.
Yeah.
The judge was
I would agree with that. It was a different experience, and yes, it was a girl this time.
Well, I wasn't even going to say it was a girl. I was going to say it was a totally different person.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a totally different person. They sent us in a different path, so we got a different start of the show. Some of the actors were different, or monsters were different. Some of the people were in separate areas. Of course, the interactions were different. The scenes were, the scenes are the scenes. The visuals, of course, like I mentioned previously, amazing. You can't see it all in one go. And I don't know, it was just overall fantastic. Nothing that I haven't already said. A little bit of tweaked instances here. The guy in the Satanic Church scene, if it was the same guy who was wearing a mask this time, kind of said some different shit, was reading out of the Bible, I guess, or Satanic Bible, or whatever it was that he was reading from. It gave us another Hail Satan. Went through it, completed it. There was someone who paid for the extreme haunt that was there, that was in the process of doing that scene, so I didn't really get to poke my head in there that time. But, no, I guess without going into too much great detail, because we already did that for close to an hour last time, it's always great. It's always great.
Yep.
And I'll go there a million times over. So that was that. That experience also got a 6 out of 6. Perfect. Fantastic night. That was the Trifecta of Terror.
Indeed.
What did you think of that?
What, all three?
All three in the same night.
Well, obviously the first one I was really disappointed, which, But overall, I was glad that we were able to complete them all. It was almost impossible, but we managed to do it.
It is possible. It is possible. You would have to get extremely lucky, because even getting to the one furthest away and then backtracking, which seems to be the most optimal path, at literally the moment that Helheim opened, if we didn't get to cut the line at St. Albans, we would not have made Terror Manor.
Right.
It wouldn't have happened.
And something else to note, that St. Albans does actually open up first. I think it opens up at 6:30.
Well, okay, so that's possible, but my thing here, this is how I look at it. Even if you made it to the one that opened first, and you breezed through that, you still have to drive 35 minutes north.
To the other one, and then drive all the way back.
Yeah. And now you have to wait in a longer line, because now you're showing up to this one when it's already open.
Yep.
And go through it. Now,
so it's a risk.
Now, granted, Helheim is the shortest of the three, so you still might get lucky there. But then you have to drive a whole hour and X amount of minutes back to Roanoke, so you'd still be cutting it. But we got lucky. It is possible, so if you're interested in trying it, try it. We're not going to guarantee that you're going to hit all three in one night, or you can make it a weekend trip, whatever. So in a nutshell, to kind of like re-review all four of them, Terror Manor, I love you guys. I love you guys. You are amazing, and don't stop doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Hexed, I know you're not the Gallows anymore. I miss the Gallows. I accept you're not the Gallows anymore. learn how to work a crowd. And if you already know how to work a crowd, reteach yourself. That's not to sound like a dick. That's just my opinion. I think you guys can be far more than what you are right now. You just have to apply it. And I would love to see you guys again and hope that I have a better experience next time. St. Albans, you guys are great. Will I make an hour and a half trip to see it? I don't know. Maybe. I thought it was good. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them again. I don't have any real problems with them. I thought they were fine. Yeah. Helheim, unless I hear from really, really reliable people in my life that you guys have somehow made your game to be fantastic, I admittedly probably won't be checking that out again. And I don't mean to sound rude about that. It was not at all worth a 2-hour drive. It wasn't. Now, if it was like 15, 20 minutes up the road, I would go next weekend to give it another shot. I just cannot justify spending 2 hours of my time there, 2 hours of my time back to get that kind of show. I hope that they get better. And if we just got unlucky for one single experience, then shut me up. But that wasn't anything that I would really recommend people to go see. But at the same time, I do recommend people to see it because I might be wrong. I'm only one guy. You're only one girl. What do we really know? So, but cool weekend. Wasn't really expecting to go to really any other haunt but one, and then it turned out that we went to all 4 of them once for a second time over the span of 2 nights. It's crazy. There are other haunts that we're going to check out this year, I believe. I do believe we are going to Cincinnati, Ohio during the last weekend of this month. There are tons of haunts out there. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. I know the Dent Schoolhouse is a pretty legendary one that we've already seen, but we're going to go back to because we've only been once. There is some in, southeastern or whatever, West Virginia that we're going to check out, maybe. Some redneck something place.
It's called Miller's or something.
Miller's. Okay. Yeah, we'll check that out. So this isn't the last time we do an episode about spooky time things, as this is the time for it. If you enjoyed this, let us know. If you hated it, let us know. If this was way too long, tell us to stop talking as much. Or if you want it to be longer, that's fine. I could do this all day.
Boy, can you.
Oh, just let me know. Sorry if the production quality sucks. This is intended to be better in the future. This is just a startup point. I don't know how many times I could say that. If this sounds like audio vomit, I'm sorry. If you don't like the sound of my voice, I'm sorry. If Megan doesn't sound good to you, I also apologize on her behalf.
I don't apologize for shit.
Wow, you're the harsh one here. I'm the good guy of this, even though I have nothing but negative things to say about everything.
I just don't care.
No, well...
What can you possibly say that I haven't already heard in my lifetime?
Don't know what the next episode's going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be about a haunt. It's going to be about something completely different.
Bourbon?
Bourbon?
Music.
Maybe. Music. Maybe.
Oh.
Chicken sandwiches from all sorts of chicken sandwich places. That's been beaten to death. Maybe. If anyone...
Are you going to spend an hour and a half talking about chicken sandwiches, really?
Look at me. I'm pretty sure I could spend more than that talking about food. So, I would imagine that the clientele that we first attract, if we attract anyone at all, are probably going to be people that are looking up any one of these 4 haunted attractions, because we are going to tag every single one of them. Megan is in charge of the social media stuff, because I don't do that.
He doesn't. I have to do everything.
And again, even if we're the only 2 that ever hear this is going to be fun to revisit in the future. But I would imagine the people that are going to hear this first, if anyone, is going to be people that are looking up these haunts, because they're going to YouTube Terror Manor, they're going to YouTube Helheim, YouTube Hexed or whatever, St. Albans, and this will pop up in somewhere, and they'll be like, oh, here's an hour and a half long podcast style of video that's just a black screen and audio of 2 people talking about their experience over a weekend about these 4 places. So, if people hear this and they're very much into haunts, there'll be another one. So check out for that. And if there's anything else, music, bourbon, whiskey, food, books, magazines, wrestling, I don't care. You name it. What's something else that like we should talk about something one episode that both of us know nothing about. And just watch it or research it one time. Like let me just give an example. We know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Okay. I mean, I might know more than you do, but sure.
I played that in Toronto.
Oh, you actually played it. That's right.
I played that in Toronto one time. Drunk as can be. Have no recollection of what it was. And I have no real education on that. I don't know about you, but we should try to play Dungeons and Dragons once. Or, like, that's just an example, right? Do something that we've never done. And then talk about it for whatever. And we don't intend for these to always be an hour and a half long. It just so happened to be that both of these were so far. It might be 20 minutes. It might be a half hour. It might be 3 hours. Who knows?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
We should have a book club.
We should have a book club?
You gonna read a book?
Yeah, sure. We'll call it Book It. And I'll give you a little star on a pen.
Are you going to give me a free personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut?
Well, no, I can't because they're all closing down. And I'm waiting for them, if we ever become anything, that they're going to send a fucking cease and desist to us and be like, we own Book It. Based off of you and this lawsuit we're hitting you with, we're going to resurrect ourselves. I don't know, I'm kidding. But that was that. What is it that we always hear? Stay safe. Take care. Click it or...
Ticket.
Virginia, stay strapped in. That's going to end up being the outro just out of ironic spite.
Sure.
Sure. Until next time.
See ya.
Keep it real.